Shor, or chesev, oaze, a cow, a sheep, a goat. The Torah lists off for us the various animals that are permitted to bring as korbanos, as sacrifices in the Beis HaMikdash. And it leaves one wondering, why these animals? Why only these animals? Why not some more exciting wild animals? What's so unique? What's so special about these animals? So you might say these are kosher animals, these are docile animals that are found more commonly, and to a certain extent that's true. But is there something more? Is there a perspective that can be gleaned from the fact that the Torah only permits these animals? And the Medrash makes a fascinating comment. The Medrash says that animals that are rodvim, that are chasers, that are predators, are excluded, and those that are chased, the prey, the nirdafim, are chosen. But the Medrash says not just in korbanos, but b'chol makom, in all contexts, ha'elokim yevakesh es hanirdaf. God seeks out the one who is preyed upon. There's a special love. And that's why it's these animals and not wild animals. But the problem is glaring. The animals don't choose their role. They're born into it. They have certain traits and instincts that either make them into rodfim, into predators, into pursuers, or into nirdafim, into those that are pursued. So why is God rewarding those that are preyed upon, allowing them to be brought in the Beis HaMikdash, and punishing those that are rodfim? What does that have to do with the characteristic that should define which animals are brought in the Mizbeach? So clearly it's not a question of reward and punishment. It is their natural state. It's that Hashem prefers nirdafim, those who are vulnerable to attacks from others. Why should that be? What does that reflect? What does Hashem want us to learn? And on the surface, if you think about it, Hashem seems to have a place to similar characteristic in human beings. L'havdil eluf alfei havdalos, right? It's playoff season now. If the team that you don't like isn't in contention, who do you root for? Generally, most people root for the underdog. Why? Some suggest that naturally we want things to be fair and the underdog is perceived to be at a disadvantage. It fulfills our desire for justice. Or maybe it's a more exciting storyline. Or maybe because we can just relate to it better. At some point in our lives, we've all been the underdog. We've had people that are rooting against us, and we've been able and tried to push through. And it's the stories of the underdogs in life that give us hope that maybe we can push through. But what does that have to do with God? Why does a God love the underdog? He does not need the inspiration of other stories of nirdafim in order to succeed. Even those who have lost many times and others that have given up upon. He knows the world isn't perfect. He knows his world is perfect and just. So our tendency to prefer the underdog shouldn't relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So why are nirdafim the ones brought in the Mizbeach? I think it's because there is a certain spiritual advantage that a nirdaf has. That the one who is pursued more likely and more easily and more readily turns towards Hashem for help. When we feel distant, when we feel overwhelmed, that's when we realize, I can't do this alone, and we turn towards Hashem. He naturally has a deeper spiritual connection. And Hashem says, I want those that have that spiritual connection, those should be the one. I'm waiting for you to return. And he wants us to see that message. The Son of Rebbe explains that the Chazal at the beginning of our Parsha that teaches us that the mitzvah of chinuch, lahazir gedolim alaktan, and that the adults are responsible for the children, that on a deeper level it means that we all have days when we feel greatness, the godless, and we all have days when we feel katnus. When we need is that lehazir, we need the zohar, we need that the light should shine from the days that we feel good onto the other days when we feel distance. And perhaps we can add that during our days of godless, when things are going well, that's when we remember the times of katnus and that they will be there. But if we remember the idea of ha'elokim yevakesh es hanirdaf, is that in the end what HaKadosh Baruch Hu reminds us in a very, very subtle way is that He is there for us. Is that when we need Him and we turn to Him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there to hold us and to answer our tefillos. And that is symbolized in HaKadosh Baruch Hu in every place. He's seeking out the one that's near death, the one that more naturally turns to him. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits for each and every one of us to come back and to return to him.